Yeah, whole prof here, and I gotta clean up some of the space so that we actually have room to make a video. But I just refilled the networking Packout with a whole bunch of keystones. Like, I have enough shielded ones now. I mean, most of them will go away to need 2 buckets. This was kind of the extra bucket. Normally this wouldn't be falling if this was on a flat surface. I specifically had here I have some coax, because often you'll see these near, so that going back here, but those are basically just pass-throughs, so I don't have enough of the pass-through plugs to justify its own area, so I kind of just put the 2 shielded and all the rest of the plastic, the non-shielded in there. We got our older keystones back here. There's 4 of each left. I'm gonna burn through those first. This is just where the all the zip ties end up. That is one thing True Cable does, by the way. I know a lot of places where they'll require a zip tie to tighten this down, right? And they won't give you zip ties. Now, do I need zip ties? No. We've been over. I buy them in bulk. Over there, But it is nice, especially for you guys at home. You might not know that you need a zip tie to secure that strain relief, right? And yeah, they include it. They include a mini manual. I keep extras over here. They include a mini manual with each one. I tend to use the same one until it falls apart, and then I go and grab another one. If you're wondering what all these are all outlet covers. If I were doing this every day, I'd probably put a couple in here of each, but for now they all go in there because I have the room. Let me just latch that up, and that way when I need to do networking, I just grab this Packout, and we're on our way. Now, I will say this is one that does not go in the garage, even though our garage is now temperature controlled. So I'll probably eventually have to get like a wall mount or one of those brackets, because I think we're gonna have a few of these that'll stay in the house. Like, we've got our staple guns, and then we got an air staple gun, and we got the Milwaukee staple gun. That's the sort of thing where you want all your staples with your staple gun together. So maybe a half one could fit all that. They have thinner ones, they have thicker ones. For now, basically this, which is all my tools. Like, why do you have a rubber in there? Well, you need a little place to put all the, cutoffs, like little snippies, wire cutoffs and stuff like that. Like electricians, at least, always get given crap for how much they don't clean up after themselves, and I just always do it over a little box. Like, when you're opening up electronics, you'll get like a box like that. I'll get a box like, wait, no, that's not a box, it's a kitten. Or I'll keep like one of the retail ones, like something like this, or even like something like this Olight box. I've actually kept this one because it's really nice and handy that it's magnetic. There you can see some stripping. I was making the ground cable, and this happened to be the closest box, so I just strip it into there so it doesn't go on the carpet or wherever I'm working. You're showing your leopard spots, Paisley. How's your eye doing? You got it fully open now. If you watched yesterday's video, she still had issues with it. We were all fine. I go up to get a coffee yesterday, and then I come back down and she's wounded. She's as bad as me. This is what we're going to take a look at here. This is everything that came in from Home Depot. Some of the stuff was delivered, like I think they drive around, they deliver it from the local store. The rest of it had to be shipped. And there is this thing that Paisley is on. Yeah, Peter, what are you doing? That will probably get its own video along with this, what do we call it, like a basket. But, and that is the bottom of my Packout configuration. That didn't exist when I set up my Packout last year. And not only is it available now, but at least at Home Depot is 20-30 bucks off. So we'll have a separate video probably on the Packouts. the deal here was, I believe, I think it was like 200. You got certain like 30 bucks off. You spent 300, which this was 250, and this was 50. You get 90 bucks off, and this was already discounted out down to 250. I think normally it's like 270, 280. So that's why I always say, unless you don't have a Packout and you need it for a project, wait for a sale, because otherwise, like that sorter you saw that the networking was, and that's 50 bucks, I think. And people are like, oh, why don't you get cheaper brands and stuff like that? Well, at least in the US, minus the original first generation Packout that might have been around a year or so, the most readily available storage system for tools like this that you want to be portable, that you can just like walk into any place and get like, Milwaukee might not be the first to have like an attachment or part of a system, right? But they will, because it's the biggest and most used and most liked system. Almost every other brand, kind of like early days in batteries, almost every other brand except for Ryobi and Dewalt, and even those two, just like Milwaukee did have their like 24 volt for a little tiny bit. Ryobi had like a 40 volt. DeWalt had that flex volt that really isn't used. I forget which, if it's 60 or what it is. But much earlier in there, like you'd see all these places like, oh, well, we got 16 volt, now we got 18 volt, well, now we got 20 volt, oh, 24 volt would be better, let's do that. But then they go back to 20 volt. Milwaukee basically made the 18, and then bigger for me is they made the 12. I have the launch 12 volt screwdriver, right? Still works to this day. And realistically, Milwaukee's 12 volt fuel, which is their brushless stuff, and they even have non-fuel, like I really like their subcompact. Your average home gamer, that made your average home gamer not need a 20 volt tool. Straight up. At least for drilling and driving and that sort of stuff. And I prefer the tools actually because they're easier to handle. So that's the same thing here with Milwaukee, with their Packout. Is it's quality built. It might not have metal drawer slides on this, you know. Doesn't need it though. It's not a toolbox, right? And you got tons of options. And maybe they're, you know what I mean? Like the issue with a lot of these other brands, like Tough Built, I think they have like a metal one that locks that a lot of people are going goo goo gaga over. But like that's like the second or third Tough Built like arrangement of stuff. Whereas as Milwaukee gets better, their old stuff works with their new stuff works with the old stuff. There might be a few accessories here and there, right? Maybe those didn't really matter though. So that's why it's not that I'm a Milwaukee fan here. It's that this realistically in the US has ended up being the go-to. Like even the Ryobi version of Packout, I forget what it's called, like it feels like cheese compared to it. Like apparently they actually did a new gen because the first generation that it was supposed to compete with it was so bad. Once again, the Packouts weren't real. Maybe, I mean, there was that very early, you know, like Milwaukee did toy with going to that 24 volt for like a year, and then they were like, nope. Yeah, Ryobi had to fully redesign their line, and it's the same parent company. You know, you've been able to get the same for like $220, and I wouldn't recommend doing this. I think it was like somewhere between two. I think it was always $229 for the original 3 piece Milwaukee, which is the bottom box, the mid box, and the top box. And none of those are drawers. In my opinion, I went over last year. Check out my Packout video last year. I think rather than getting 3 boxes, you are better off getting 2 that you actually are going to use. Because with like the deal I had at Ace last year, it's kind of like this one at Milwaukee or at yeah, that might be $250, and that's $50, right? So it's $300, but I get 90 off, so it's actually $210. So say replace that with another set of drawers. That's probably another 50, 70 bucks, right? Yes, you're at the cost of like that starter set, right? except you have drawers, and if you get a second set of drawers, you have drawers, which are much, much, much more useful in my opinion. Like, I'd actually rather have this big drawer, a set of probably like either the 2 or the 3 drawer. I think probably the 3 drawer, because people have said you can fit the 1/2-inch impact in the 3 drawer. And then like that basket or something, or like one of the tool boxes the tool bags that goes on top, kind of like this green guy that you saw. That'd probably be the combo, and yes, that tool bag wouldn't be considered into the price of the Packout that I was talking about. But that base one is like, I never saw a big use or want for the toolboxes. Like, you can't, like, think about that. In order to get to the bottom, you have to take all the others off, right? And then also, a lot of those really base level ones don't have sorting. So the stuff you're putting in there better have its own box or container. Otherwise, it's just going to be bouncing and banging around. Well, that box or container now takes up space. Whereas otherwise, you could just get a Packout that has dividers and not have to like put stuff in a blow molded case in the thing, right? So, but a lot of people, as like a gift or something like that, they get them that first Packout, and that's where a lot of big people build off of it. And that's where I should say too, in that you'll probably hear me talk about in the next video on the Packouts, is that the combo that I did last year with the 2 drawer and the 3 drawer with the dolly, that is now a standard 1-click addable 2-cart option with Home Depot. So enough people must have been buying it that, and you do get it discounted as well. So enough people must have been buying it that, and mine's not going away. No, because the cabinet's going on the bottom. This basket's going to hang from the back of the dolly. And then you saw those sorters. More than likely the sorters, as we get more, will stack up on the bottom of it. And then this basket, so I can just toss, like here, we're going to use it to take all the stuff that's in here, toss it in there. So let's get, I'll start with this box here. No idea what's in there. I still gotta move all this true cable stuff. These are all my brackets and mounts and stuff like that, because that does not go in that little Packout. Technically speaking, I got another 3 days off, so maybe I can get. I should be able to get the cables into that, the home theater PC, not mounted. Should be able to get them put in there though, at least, and these 2 up with that into the shielded one, theoretically. Why is it so freaking droopy? Whoa. Oh. There we go. Should tighten you guys down. Apparently you need a full 180. You guys are all like over there vomiting. Blah, blah, blah. You're just on a roller coaster, okay? Roller coaster ride. Oh, snow's coming, so I probably got to do my snow tires too. Alright, this is a really light one. Probably just a. Ooh, actually, I know what this is. Start over. This bad boy here is probably going to get used a whole bunch. Not just with the Packout either. It is just a quality, durable plastic tub, effectively, that can snap either on the back, right, or the bottom. I can put this in the back of my, I was going to say my cart. I call it my cart. It's the dolly. because I use it more of a cart than a dolly. So let me get this tag off here. What do they say? Stack or hang 50-pound weight capacity. Ooh, I'll probably be throwing way more than that in there. I'm guessing by the hanging that you know, one of these days the one thing that I still want to pick up is one of the tool bags that goes on top. I'm not hugely impressed with most of their options though, so that's the thing. The other thing that I wouldn't mind on here to see if somebody makes, because it doesn't like Milwaukee does, is like a giant handle. Yeah, but you know, if you need a, this is way here. Yeah, I wonder why. I just can't see. I go to 0.5. I wonder why. No step. With its only 50-pound weight capacity, I can see why. I think plastic-wise, this seems to be built way better than 50 pounds. The other thing I can tell you is all these little pieces here, those are all drains. So if you get water in there, it'll drain itself out. Like it's just super handy to have a thing. Yeah. So first thing, this got delivered from the local store in that basket. Just dropped off on the porch. It's like a local delivery. Normally you have to pay extra, but apparently for certain things, because this is big, not big, but it's heavy, they just do it. Okay, and you're like, why do you need these? Well, we didn't have these. I specifically needed, we have 2-inch. Oh, and I think I've showed this before. If I haven't, we'll get it. It's the other one of our packouts. This one may go in the garage, may not. I don't know. But I got sick of having to, like, which frickin' screw do I need, and then having to go back and get the container. So I bought one of these. I may have showed it in my Packout video last year, but I still made labels for it. But I gotta see if we got my number 8x2-inch. What I am probably, whoa, Pazer's going berserk. What was that, Pazer? Is that your bag? What's right there? You should have seen it. She had threw up in the air. She was like, she jumped like 4 feet up in the air. Remember, guys, if she wants to, she can easily jump off the floor up my back and land on my shoulders. Keep that in mind. So we've got number 8 1-inch. So, yep, not a problem there. Then we have number 8 2-inch. All right. That one's a reused one. That shouldn't be in there. Others like that. Okay, that one's going on VIN. I don't know whether somebody put a used screw back in. Not that we can't have used screws, but I don't want them with my new ones. Now this is something I haven't tested yet. Can I take these and put them in there and close the lid properly? No, you can't. You have to put these guys. So some of these appear that have more screws than one bucket fills, I may fill one of these with, so that I can put these guys in one of these. Or like this guy where we have barely any. That may get transferred into like a smaller container I'd put in here or put down the middle. This right now is just bits. That could easily go in some sort of bag or container. Throw it down the middle here, you know. Or just on a magnetic strip or something. Basically, this is like every common size that you would need to run these or take out other ones. So it's like Phillips 2, T25, T15, maybe there's a T20 in there. Square 2. These are all the freebies that GRK gives you that I never use, but just in case, I did also throw in a extension. I think the reason why I had to throw the extension in was Square 2. I didn't have a just straight bit like this. I just throw them in there. Now you're like, don't you normally have your bits? Yes, I do. But just in case me, or not me, like my mom, or I throw this, oh, I need screws, and I throw this at one of my friends. Hardware's in there. But basically, you can go and grab this. You got number 9, 2.5, number 9, 3.5. This is like your, this is going into a 2x4, a 2.5, right? And this is going through a 2x4 with 3.125. Maybe going in the vertical side of a 2x4. Then we have number 10, 2.5, and number 10, 3.125. Would you really need both of these? No. The number 10s do hold it a heckin' lot better though. And most of, like when you're going into tubifers, right? Pine 2x4s, which is the standard. GRK recommends number 10. And you don't need to pre-drill or anything. So that's why you basically have pine, standard cheap 2x4, right? And then we have everything else. Yeah, like we had some redwood ones over there earlier, or I've had some. It was when you don't know what it is, basically, or mixed material. And we got these big. These are like structural screws, RSS screws. These are 2.5 inch. We got, this is effectively I bought these number 8 by 1 inch cabinet screws. Number 8 by 1.5. And like I said, I tested these for what I needed. The problem is I need a flat top on the screw, not this angle, not the countersunk one. So instead of stopping, this pulled itself into the thing I needed. Also, barely any of this stuck out, like that much. And I potentially need to go into an anchor, or maybe that much, right? I need to go to an anchor that's in drywall, potentially. So that's why we went with number 8, 2.5 inch cabinet style. So they have the flat heads. Is this thing still sealed? So here you go. You got flat heads, skinny and long. These are, from what I was seeing, they were only available in the big contractor's bucket, which is fine. They're cheaper this way. And I do think somebody typed my bit. It says T15 bit included, and I'm not seeing. So I think somebody typed the bit out of it. Yeah, no pre-drilling needed. If you saw those C-clamps I was putting out, not C-clamps, like for putting PEX pipe up. I actually originally bought those to put up some LED lighting. And then I ended up using them to do networking. Well, networking was fine with the nails, but some of the lighting is going to have to go into the ceiling. And I don't trust a nail to nail up because it'll just pull itself out. So I'd rather, I trust screws way, way more. And that's why I got those. So we use these quite often, these number 8 by 1 inch cabinet screws. These are great for attaching a thing to a surface. You know, like screwing it down, right? Like holding a piece of metal to a piece of wood or something like that. So more than likely, if I don't have more of these guys, I'll probably take these and put them in a little container and move this guy over, because the number 2 will go here. Or the, move these over and put the 2.5 inch next to these 2.5 inch. Like, think about that. That's the difference. This is also a 2.5 inch screw, but it's a 1/4 inch. That's what's holding up my tire rack. Are these guys here. So basically, I wanted this to be able to, and maybe I can get or make a divider for this too. I think I've seen them like snap on the sides here to split that up into two more types of screws. Basically, we can figure that out when the time comes. But I wanted the ability to, where it's like, hey, I need you to reattach this, or we need to go and fix this, or I need this mounted. I can just grab a drill, or a screwdriver, or probably an impact driver to be truthful, and go and do it. And then this can just go in the Packout stack. I gotta figure out somehow a way of labeling it on the outside, because obviously if this is sandwiched between a bunch of other things, like the networking one that you just saw, how do I tell if this is the screw one versus the networking one? I tend to also not cheap out. They make cheaper ones of these without the dividers, and without the clear top, and without the gasket. That's one thing that a lot of brands miss, is there's a gasket in the lid. They're not saying this thing's completely waterproof or whatever. I think like pretty much are, but it's at least weather resistant. That gasket really helps lock it down too. But, that's how I'm using it. And realistically, in these little buckets here, I mean, if you use a lot of one type, you can put in the bigger one here, which will easily fit one of those contractor buckets of screws you just saw. But for me, rarely am I doing a project that needs more than this little cup's worth of screws. And if I'm doing that, I have a lot of screws, but if we're doing a project that big, like, we're probably ordering them beforehand, so you don't have to stop halfway through your project. And but this should be able to get you started, because we have a little bit of everything, right? And like, say for these, we needed those for something specific. I needed that for something specific. I think mounting metal plate to IKEA, what I almost cut my toe off with. The number 8 by 1.5 are just pretty common. So are the 2 inch. Those are all the R4 screws from GRK. But that's how I like to do things. It's just, once you figure out what screws you commonly use, just buy them in bulk so that you have them when you need it. And then don't forget to keep it stocked up. Like, if you use a bunch of those, but you're not out, kind of like those 2 inch ones, either remember to refill out of your stash in the back, or order some more up. Let's grab that big old box. Oh. We got lithium-ion batteries forbidden aboard aircraft and or vessel. Not vessel, the screwdriver band. I think vessel as in like aircraft and maybe boat. You'd think boat would be fine. Doesn't you have to ship things via boat? You can't ship them via aircraft? Yeah, aboard aircraft and vessel. Vessel would generally mean ship. Unless I'm wrong here. Well, they had to rekit the ash end of this with some more tape because it broke open. So fucking heavy. This knife's sharp. Thank you, Frozen Slate, for bringing your sharpener over here and letting me go at her. I can figure out why they retaped it. Look, that corner took a fucking beating right there. So apparently somebody at UPS fucking just demolished this. So there's gonna be a lot in here. It's probably quite tippy. Alright. I'm just gonna pull it all out. If you see stuff as I go, hey, awesome. Otherwise, we'll be going back through it. Oh, heck yeah. That's for my ladder. That was a cheap add-on. Had I known about it, I would have bought it with the ladder when new. Oh, it's heavy. Can't do that first. Yeah, dudes that swing that all day are honky beefcakers. And more my style. Ooh, this guy. Yeah, 2 pounds. Okay. Well, now I can start with that. And this box is going in the bin because it got utterly blown out and destroyed. Alright, so this was an unexpected purchase. Not the batteries, we can always use the batteries, but like buying them, period. And this is where I was saying that we're not gonna crack these open because you guys know what M18 batteries look like. I was calling them M20s before. Technically, in some other countries, they are M20 for those wondering, because 18 volt and 20 volt are the same. It is the difference in voltage versus there's 5 18650s in there, and if you charge them all up to 4 volts, which is their max, right, it's 20 volts. And if you charge them up to, what's their minimum, 3.6, 3.5, well, 3.5 would be 7 times 2 is 14, plus another 3.5, that'd be 17.5, right? So that's 3.6, and that's how you get your 18 volts. So that's why they're M18. That means on the low side, Milwaukee is expecting 18 volts. Whereas in some countries, they you have to do it at minimum voltage or maximum voltage. In the US, it's kind of like whatever the fuck they decided on. I feel like you see minimum voltage more commonly than max. But yeah, that's why if you see any 18 volt or 20 volt, it's the same shit. Most of the bigger style power tools are that. Some of the like Hilti will have some more complex ones. So will I was trying to remember. Like there are some other brands that have had higher voltage. Or like I think it's Matco has like a 16 volt. You know, Snap-on is 14.4 volt. You guys have, I don't know the 14.4, but I have a 7.2. And that is why this guy, so the reason why 14.4 exists is because this is a 7.2, right? So basically they wanted more voltage, so what they do is they just double it up. And then the battery can work in interesting ways because of all their extra pins here. If you look in there, so there are actually different, there's double plus, and so you can pull from this side or that side, right? Well, on a 14.4, there's also these guys. And you can actually pull, you're basically pulling, it's like 2 7.2 volt batteries wired together, but in it's pulling like dual 7.2. In most cases, it's actually not pulling 14.4. And then if you only run it as 7.2 like it would in this one, right? 7.2 volt. It would just run at extended amperage, or longer runtime, basically. And why is this 7.2, right? Because they're nickel metal hydride, smaller batteries from Snap-on were 7.2. So rather than change up the motor, they just changed up the power source. Yeah, it's like a developmental thing. Whereas I don't know. I'm trying to think back, did Milwaukee have power tools prior to lithium ion? I don't know. I know they had like plug-in power tools. I don't know if they had cordless. If so, I've never seen it, because Milwaukee, they literally invented and patented the technology, which I believe somebody was saying was expiring this year or next year, for using lithium batteries with power tools. Because prior to them changing the chemistry and creating the stuff that does the controllers in the tools, right? The batteries would just explode. That's why, like, we had lithium ion technology, but we weren't using it. And the reasoning behind that is they hadn't developed the higher amperage draw cells yet. Like, if you look at like what I use for my headlamp, I was talking about that in one of the previous videos, where like I believe those on average somewhere between 7 and 8 amps, right? That you need way more than that for a power tool, right? And that's also why you might get 3600 milliamp hour in a headlamp, but getting like 2600 milliamp hour in a battery that would go in a power tool, like a single 18650, that's a lot, right? And how do you get, okay, this is an XC 5.0. How do you then get 5.0? That's 5 amp hours out of this. Well, there's 2 rows of 2500 milliamp hour cells in here. That's how you get it. So basically you get the voltage by going 5 times 3.6, and you get the amperage by going 2.5 times 2. Basic math there. So they're saying $397 total value. I call bullshit. $100. Was it 100 or 200? I'm trying to remember. I think it was 200. 100 sounds way too good. We're gonna like having 2 chargers. I want to do 2 chargers. This includes a charger, and we already have one out in the garage. Why that's nice is how we started actually getting M18 was not because of me for power tools, was because of my mom for yard tools, and me for yard tools. And then I've been picking up the power tools. Like, they do not make that tool in an M12. Same reason why I have some Ryobi. I actually started with yard tools, and then there's like the glue guns, right? The blower. They don't make that sort of stuff in their 4-volt line, and Milwaukee doesn't have it in their 12-volt line. So we already have 2 batteries to run the trimmer for Ryobi, so then I use it for other stuff. Basically, as long as you're not using the tools at a time, like you might a drill and an impact driver, right? You need at least 2 batteries, and if you have a drill and an impact driver, I would recommend 4. Because if you're using it at the same time, drill, drive, you're going to have to swap batteries and throw them on a charge. That's where you want 2 chargers and 4 batteries would be my recommendation. So we're at this now. We're at, we previously had 4 batteries and 1 charger. Now we're at 6 batteries and 2 chargers. And what's funny is we have 8 amp hours. That's for the yard tools. That's what they came with. Then we have, I believe, some 4 amp hours. And then these are 3 amp hours, and these are the 5 amp hours. The other ones are really slim. They don't have the double batteries, so that's what those are kind of nice, is with the other stuff we're using, they're lighter. And with this guy, you're going to want light, in my opinion, handling it. But basically, the only reason we have this, we can always use more Milwaukee batteries, right? Pretty much. I mean, for a while there couldn't use more M12s till I started popping finally. But those were well past. Like, some of them were my original Milwaukee fuel batteries, which I think were like 2012 or something. Yeah, I finally had like the housings were cracking on some of them, and other ones would only charge up to halfway. So we've lost some of those. But we picked up this. I'm kind of getting long in the tooth there, but we picked up that for $200, right? Pick up batteries for $200. You get a free $200 router. I don't know how they fucking do that. It says new. I don't know how new. Let's ask Gemini on my watch. When did Milwaukee release their M18 fuel compact router model number 272320? June of 2019. If Gemini is to be believed. So the fact that this still says new on there, maybe that is why they're giving away for free. Right? See the dates on the box. I don't see any dates on the box. Womp womp. Okay. I somehow do not believe that it is new. Apparently the label was printed in 2025. But yeah, I don't believe that new logo there. But we have actually been needing a router for doing woodworking, working on the desks and tables and stuff like that. And we've been talking about that. Mom was like, why don't we just fucking buy one? And then I researched on, do we want a cordless one or a corded one? Because sometimes the price difference is like double plus, right? Good corded one, $150. A main, like I was just comparing Makita, for example. Theirs is $150. Their cordless is $200. Milwaukee's cordless is $200. I think they had a corded one for $150 as well. So it's kind of like, do you want to spend the $50 to get a cordless? Yes, was my decision. And we didn't even have to because it was free. I mean, free with purchase of batteries, like purchase battery. It was like purchase that battery with the charger. So now you have to remember, I used to have so many M12 chargers that I was giving them away because everything they would give you an M12 fucking charger with. And I don't have the super turbo one for M12. I have the 4-bay, but it does charge them 1, 2, 3, 4. But after having that, I only kept one of the 12 volt, and that is in like a Milwaukee, they used to give you all blow molded stuff. Then I have like a zip pouch that has it Velcro down in, so that if I go anywhere, I can grab that. Like if I'm going someplace where I would have to charge, I can grab that single standalone charger. Because the 4-bay is mounted on the wall. Well, where this is going to be nice is in the garage. We also use M12 out there often. My mom uses, and also the subcompacts will live out there, right? The bad boy from the default M18 charger has an M12 charger on top. So it'll allow us to charge M12 or M18. And so we'll have effectively two M12 chargers out there as well. Now, we don't use the M18 enough to use that. Like, they have their turbo charger for the Forge batteries, where the charger itself is like $200. But either way, I think they want to charge you like 40, 50, 60 bucks for a charger. So this was a good deal, especially in the case that would we have immediately gone out and bought a router? No. Was it kind of like in the books, like, hey, we've just decided, fuck it, we'll get a router because we've been, like, I've been bringing up, like, yeah, we could fix that with a router, or that'd be way easier to do with a router. Yep, we were kind of at the point where it's like, do we just go and buy one? When we bought that in the past, traditionally, I get Makita for corded, and I get Milwaukee for cordless because that's the battery system we're on. I would have said Makita wasn't a bad choice for cordless, but apparently they're changing the battery system. So a lot of people are pissed. Like a lot of contractors are pissed. Let's see here. Makita changing their battery system. XGT 40 volt. There are adapters to use LXT batteries with XGT tools with XGT sync. Yeah, so basically all our new stuff is on the 40 volt. And I can understand that. But people like the people that are contractors will have like an entire bottom pack out of Makita 20 volt batteries, right? So they're kind of pissed in that regards. And they say they're, oh yeah, we're still developing tools. Are you really? Are you really now? So I'm really not too concerned about is router. Like I hear really good things, having watched like some of you probably have heard of John Milwaukee and that sort of stuff. They are all about the Dewalt one of this. We do not do enough woodworking to require that. We just require an router, right? And basically what I'm going to be using this for is the edges of tabletops. That's the main and number one thing. Like that's how it started with our multi-tool oscillating cutter. Was we needed for molding and door frames. Seriously, and that's why I had to buy it again. Is like we need to fix the door frame. It is perfect for that sort of thing, and we've used it for a bunch of other stuff because you happen to have it. What did I see on my oscillating cutter? Like I've like the initial oscillating cutter, so that would be a tool that like if you use it every day, you want to upgrade to the fuel because it's got a quick change and it's much more powerful. But we don't use it enough for that to matter, you know? Normally I would say go for the fuel line, which this happens to be. Or at a minimum, Milwaukee does have non-fuel brushless now. You gotta know more stuff if you start going that route. Now this is relating to what you just opened there. I remember because I had ordered this separately because I was like, oh shit, we got a free router. Well, what do you need when you have a router? Does anybody know? You need router bits. So I went and looked up what the most common ones you needed are. And I also compared that to what I wanted to do with it. I went with Diablo, which is Home Depot's brand. But they're very well regarded for their cutting stuff. Like the blades I got for the multi-tool were Diablo. The grinding discs, a lot of people were pro Diablo on those. Like they tend to make good, like we'd bought their abrasives, like sanding stuff. Now they have, I had a picture on my phone because I got it from my mom where like they're trying to knock off 3M's mesh sandpaper because they have like foam sandpaper, or they call it knit, or it was something foam or something like that. Hey, and it's definitely implemented differently because they're not violating 3M's patent, but generally if 3M makes something, they make it well. And the sandpaper from them, beautiful. There's actually a different, smaller, like it's a 3-inch, like detail oscillating sander, not just a vibrating detail sander. That uses mesh discs, and 3M does make that size this time, rather than something being proprietary for Milwaukee like the other one. So you're like, well, what sizes did you get? Okay, well, this first one that you can't read because the label is over it is an 1/8 inch radius rounding over bit, right? So that would be edge of your table, you're rounding it over, the radius is 1/8 of an inch. That is I say this is the smallest one. This is the smallest common one. I believe there is a 1/16. But like this is the smallest common one that you're going to use with your common, I think a lot of those are called palm routers. I have no idea what's going on out there. At some point I'll have to go and check. So the big thing about these as well is you could get cheaper ones, but these are the, I was looking for carbide, and these are apparently titanium carbide. Made in Italy, very good quality. So there you can go. You can see there. I'll zoom into a level 5. Let's get the light on. Pow! There you go. The radius is 1/8 of an inch, and they're 1/2 inch spindle, which is what this is. It's a 1/2 inch router. I don't know if it says here, collet size. Sorry, 1/4 inch. My bad. Right there, 1/4 inch. Boom, boom, boom. So that's the important bit, is the radius in this case, and then the collet size. And most cordless ones are going to be 1/4 inch. I don't know on my desk upstairs. In this case, like I went off of pictures. This is like a very, like they compare the 1/8 inch to almost rounding it over with like a sander. That's how subtle an 1/8 inch is, right? Next most common, and this is where a lot of people will put their tables, is at a 1/4 inch. Same thing, a 1/4 inch shank, 1/4 inch radius, 1/2 inch for the bearing. And the depth is 1/2 inch. Depth here is a 1/2 inch. If you're running the bearing will ride on the board going around it, and then cut that. That's why you have to set your depth. Then this guy is the next. This would be for sure the next most common one that I would use as well. And this was the next one. In like there was a list of the most common ones, and like I was looking up like not support for this. What do you want to call it? Like not FAQs, but like guides on routers and stuff. Like, what do you need to get started? What are your most common ones? And I kind of was thinking like very subtle. I didn't know that it was called. I shouldn't say I haven't used a router before. I haven't owned a router before. I didn't know this was called a rounding over bit. I want to know what made the round edge. Turns out that's called a rounding over bit. Okay, the other one that I knew I wanted is what's called a flush trim bit. And basically what that does is if you have a board on the bottom that bearing will ride on, right? And then you have a board that's up to 1 inch in between here. There you go, 1 inch, right? 1 inch thick board. It will basically, you can use the bottom board as a template, right, for the top board. So think about it this way. Like, say you make a desktop, or you make a desk out of like 2x4s or similar wood, and then you put a top on it, but it's not exactly the right size. You could basically put this on and run it around it, and it will make it the top the exact size of the legs, right? And then you would take one or both of these, and you would round over that edge so it's not cutting into your arm. That's what these are going to be used for. And I think some of the tops on my desks are a bit janky, right? So that is specifically what, and these are not cheap. I want to say they're $40 a piece, roughly. I think the bigger they got, the more expensive they got. It's like this guy was most expensive, maybe 27, 34, 40. I don't know. But they're, so that's interesting that this one's made in the USA, this one's made in Italy, and that one's made in Italy. So for some reason, Freud America High Point new, Freud America High Point. I'm guessing they moved the production due to tariffs. That's what I'm and let's say moved production. That's my guess as to what happens, because it looks like the same product to me. But yeah, that's what I plan on using this for. Effectively, is this, once the thing's on top, you go around it, or if you have a template, you can around it, to cut it out. And basically, this rolls on the bottom board, it cuts out the top board. And then these guys rounding over bits are, and it depends on what radius I want. Or I might even make the front radius on the desk this guy, but then to preserve real estate on the rest of the desk, because you're losing that amount of distance, like your 1/8 inch or your 1/4 inch, right? On the sides, I may only do an 1/8 inch or something, right? But yeah, that's what we got to start out with. That was what was in my head. It was figuring out that this is a flush trim bit. It's the same sort of thing when I had to figure out what was it a line wrench? Something wrench. It's for the brake lines. It was something line wrench, and that's got the cut in it. I've used them before. Didn't know what they were called, so couldn't search for it, right? So I had to, it was a very basic thing, and in that very basic guide, they also had demonstrations of much better than what's on this packaging as to what the wood looked like after using each of these. And I was like, oh, okay, because it was kind of like, do I really need the 1/8 inch? And it's like, actually, basically the eighth inch, and they even described it like it's effectively like hitting the edge with a sander, except it's consistent rather than being inconsistent, right? More than likely on the front edge of the desk, I'm going to want to go with the 1/4 inch. On the rest of it, I may just want to break, like I said, the edge of the wood with something like that. And then we do know in certain areas it's kind of sticking out all weird. So run that guy around there. Router is another one of those things where it's got some balls behind it. So you better be careful. So yeah, it ended up costing us, sadly, like those are nice carbide ones. So as long as we don't hit a nail or anything like that, with the amount of routing we're going to do, that's decade, let's say, if not more, right? So I'll give you a little hint. There's little handles sticking up there. Before we look at that, some of you may have seen my video on my hammers. Oh, making a big deal. No, I just ordered like the bulb. Like once I knew Milwaukee was coming out with their dead blow ball peen and ball peen, because they've done wood hammers for the longest time, right? And I did get one of those, and I really like it. They actually bought out stiletto. Still the right? I think it's the right one. I haven't bought one of those because those are like titanium. And they have generic non-custom ones for like $100. I don't do enough hammering to need that, but I did buy this lighter one. It's a framing hammer length, but it's only 17 ounces. And I really like having that length with the straight top, but being lighter, right? Whereas normally it should be in. No, it's not. Oh, they're over there. So, like, here's a real. This one's actually not super standard, but your standard is about this long, and 16 ounces. So the weight isn't that much bigger, but normally when you get them longer like that, you're looking at least 20, if not 24 ounces. Now this one's really nice. Oh damn! I bet Bitwit lost his in his fire. I might have to hit him up because in his fire. No, he got caught in the California fires, lost his entire house. This is actually like a really nice Stanley Fat Max. If you look at that head, they advertised it as being like 30% bigger and wider and easier to hit. It is. It's actually like a really nice face. I actually think the face on this is better than Milwaukee till I fixed it. But this is magnesium, the handle. It's super lightweight. Patents pending. I don't know if they ever got it, but this is actually a really nice hammer. And then when Fat Max went away in the US, this whole design just poof, gone. So this is going to go out and be my garage hammer. And then initially when I went and needed a ball peen, I just went with this little, I don't even know what the ounce is on here. I wore it off. It's lighter. No, it's also a 16 ounce. So, you know, that's kind of like your, and then I added the friction tape, just the standard wood handle, 16 ounce. The one I carry in the car is an Estwing 20 ounce. That's like a hammer that'll never die, basically, is an Estwing full. Like, there's rubber grip on it, but it's like metal top to bottom. Those things are indestructible. But this guy I owned previously. We actually ended up using it multiple times. We even needed it to replace the toilet. This is their drilling hammer, 3 pound. It's got for putting in like they use it for putting in grounding rods. That's what the grippy side is for, and you got a smooth side on that side. And then besides that, though, this is what I bought as my set, which is little big, little big, little big. For you have your ball peen, you have your dead blow ball peen, and you have your dead blow. I personally, prior to these, though having used them, never owned dead blows, right? I normally just go with my ball peen, but I had a 3 pound ball peen, I think. This is only a 24 ounce, that's a 2 pound. I had a 3 pound that I got from my grandpa, and I still, like, it poof gone. My dad even, I used it so much, and actually ended up, because it was sold, I broke the handle on it, and he actually helped me replace the handle. And during one of our moves, various moves with various parents, but I love that damn thing. This is kind of what's standing in for that now, this 3 pound driller. I used that 3 pound ball peen to break down wood things, break down pallets. Like, it's kind of like a mini sledge, sort of. But yeah, so we got a, what is this, 16 ounce, I bet? Yep, 16 ounce ball peen. So this guy, that really super, like, hey, you can see I use this thing, you know? Don't get me wrong, it's going out in the garage into the Packout out there. Then we got the 24 ounce, so it's a pound. Oh, sorry, I said that's wrong. I'm acting like 8 ounces a pound, 16 ounces a pound, so it's a pound and a half. Then we got I believe this is a 16 ounce dead blow ball peen. All right. Then we have a 32 ounce, so 2 pound dead blow ball peen. Had to use that to get a door hinge pin out the other day. We got a 28 ounce dead blow. That doesn't feel like 28. I use that thing all the time though. And then we have a 48 ounce dead blow. So they announced that these were all coming out. I think they might have had some of the ball peens, but like these are like the updated handle ones. The handles on these are like the same one that's on there, like Hatchet, I think. Feels real good. This thing did not come out at the same time. Been out like randomly. I don't know why they just randomly for years had a drilling hammer. I finally just ended up picking it up, and we've, like, I would say that guy obviously go to, and then this guy, and then the well, you can see the big ball peens had a bunch of use. The big dead blow ball peen. This guy I often grab, but then it's not enough. So yeah, the really, I mean, like, a lot of you would be like, why didn't you get Icon? Or like, a lot of people would be like, oh, I gotta get Snap-on because they have like the best. And I don't know if they're the originators. I think there's like Trusty Cook hammers might be the original. There's the dead blow ball peen. I don't know. The Milwaukee hammers are good enough. They're a fraction of the price of the Snap-on. And I could just buy all 6 of those in one set and be done. Did a similar thing here. You can now buy the drilling hammer in a set, because there's another one. We've got it over here. And I bought another set of, I believe they're called Engineer's hammers, which they had announced like years ago, I feel like. All right. So, for those that like the drilling hammer, but do not need something as big or as heavy, and you can see they actually made it quite a bit smaller, and that'll make this actually really useful, right? Is a 2-pound drilling hammer. High strength fiberglass core, smooth and milled sides. Yeah, basically if you're whacking shit that you don't care about the service on, this is going to give you much better grip that you won't slip off. Now, if you guys can see this shiny shit, they drill this. They cover all their hammers in this, and I have yet to do it on all of mine. But my the framing hammer, that 17-ounce framing hammer, I got so fucking frustrated with it. And I think on one of the ball peens, I've done this already. But basically, this clear shit stops this from rusting, right? Because it's like an epoxy over this. However, what it looks like, and a lot of people were complaining when their new hammers came out, they were saying that, like, oh, I hit one thing that it shouldn't damage the hammer, and it's leaving dents all over it. And there's a lot of bad reviews about a lot of, like, even their standard hammers, and not the Dewalt ball peens, but the standard ball peens regarding that. And what you're actually denting is not the face of the hammer. You're chipping off this epoxy. Well, once it gets, like, chipped up enough, it actually starts feeling rough and, like, sharp. And what I ended up doing was just taking a sander and sanding it off. Now, yes, that does mean the face of the hammer will rust. But what's way worse, and I maybe I took a bunch of pictures because I actually complained to Milwaukee, and they're still fucking doing it. Is this, and there are a lot of, if you just go on Home Depot's website and you read about it, they're like, oh, I hit this one thing like only a few times and it's already damaging the face of the hammer. No, you're not. It's this. They just dip the whole head. Like in the case of the framing hammer, before they put the rubber grip on, they take the whole thing and they just dunk it in the shit, right? What they should do is polish off the face. That's what I did. Why I had to effectively do, right? And I can guarantee you the first time you use this, it's not as big a deal on this side where it's the hatch side, right? Because that gets all messed up anyway. But this side, having that smooth face, you want a smooth face. So what I would do is just take some sandpaper and just clean it off. In this case, you maybe want to clean off down the sides because you might actually be utilizing that, right? But we've got the 2-pound drilling hammer. I really like the 3-pound, right? It reminded me of my 3-pound ball peen that I miss still to this day. This guy, like the nice thing about this is maybe you want it for the weight less, but the nice thing is it's so much slimmer. That might be the thing what you're going for with this, not necessarily the weight reduction, right? Now you can buy this in a pack, the 2-pound and the 3-pound. I obviously didn't do that because I've been a long-time owner of the 3-pound. I think I watch Last Best Tool. Often when I'm making my pizza at the end of the night. Actually, it's not a pizza. It's a cheese dipper for those wondering. I don't eat a pizza. I eat a cheese dipper. If you haven't had a cheese dipper before, amazing. Yeah, I watch him, and he also really likes the 3-pound drilling. I don't think he's covered the 2-pound drilling hammer on his channel, at least not that I've seen while I've been watching. But he also really likes to do the compact size, and like, because when you hit something, it like, poof, it really friggin' takes care of it. You know what I mean? And like when we were putting that toilet, I forget what I had to knock out, but the 16-ounce ball peen just wasn't fucking doing it. Got the 3-pound drill. Doof. It was like 1 or 2 hits. Done. And I was sitting there before. Bang, 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 bang. You know? That big, that, what was that? Is it the bigger ball peen dead blow too? A couple things I did in my car. I got that thing on. Twap, twap. Or when I was doing that door hinge pin, I had just the standard dead blows, because when I was doing it on the door, I didn't want to wreck the molding and stuff like that, right? But in this case, I had to like employ a crowbar and a bunch of wood. And while I was hitting the crowbar, well, obviously if you're using a dead blow, standard dead blow, it's soft. On the crowbar, you're losing some force there. So I got the big dead blow ball peen, whack, 1 hit, pop the pin, like. Because it's just imparting, it's big and it's imparting that much force over it. But yeah, so I like the standard drilling already. This guy's just gonna be a nice addition. Like I said, it is quite. I mean, it's a pound lighter. It's literally I'm not gonna say 50% lighter. The other one's 50% heavier, but it's 2/3 a pound. But like it is the width of the handle, right? That's gonna get you in some nice places. And look at that. That is from Paisley. She got her claw in my thumb and just tore it out, and you can see that is why you clean. And I listened to my mom, and I used hydrogen peroxide, and I should have used alcohol like I normally do. And you can see it's all inflamed, and it's actually widened itself up. That is what cat claws do to you. You know what I mean? At this point, it is healing, but man, oh man, oh man, you can see how inflamed it is around it. And she just got it in there and she just... kitten. But yes. For that sort of stuff, by the way, use alcohol. The hydrogen peroxide was within arm's reach. She's like, oh, it's right there. So I used it in... yeah, if I clean the cat scratches with alcohol, I normally don't get this inflamed thing or nearly to this extent. Because it's already scabbed over, I don't want to... Like, this is the sort of thing where, like, even though it's widened itself out, if this wasn't already scabbed over, I'd just go get the alcohol right now and, like, you know, you actually, like, open it up a bit to jam more in there. It's like a horrible way to describe that, I guess. All right, so next up, what do we got? 2.5, 4. Okay, so... This is to compete with Crescent, I believe. And they're still doing... You can see here. Somebody dropped that. And it looks like you've damaged the hammer already. But you haven't. That's just this fucking stupid coating. You can get... And maybe one day I will pick it up. I just didn't see a point in doing it. They sell these in, this is a cross peen. So the engineer's hammer would be this octagonal head, same one, not like this guy where it's cross-hatched and smooth. The standard engineer's hammer is just the octagonal head on both sides. I personally didn't see a point in that. The reason being, it's to the same head, right? Now, maybe if you use a lot of this head and you want to be able to flip it around, like you wear out one side, flip it around, use the other side, okay, maybe then. But for me, who is a home gamer and just wants a variety of hammer, right? I would rather have the cross peen because you have 2 different styles of head. Now, for those that have regularly used cross peen, you're like, oh, well, so what are you going to use this for? Great question. You know, probably improperly. So, if you guys want to tell me how you use a cross peen properly, like why it has this way, this side on a cross peen versus an engineering hammer or engineer's hammer, please do tell me. I mostly went this route because my thought was if this is the same head on both sides, why do that? You know? It's kind of like the ball peen where if it had like the same head on both sides, like why? Now some trusty cooks do have big, small, you know, small for the ball peen rather than big round. You know, it's a preference there, but I went with the cross peen rather than the engineer's hammer. Now, like I said, these were made, I believe, to compete with basically Milwaukee is trying to, in Home Depot at least, they are trying to get every other person's product off the shelf, and if they can't get it off the shelf, they want to have an offering next to it on the shelf. That way people grab Milwaukee's stuff first. Now, why pick up this guy? Well, it's effectively engineering hammer, heavier, right? Because the other one was a 3 pound. This is a 2 pound. This is 2.5 pound, right? With a longer hammer, a longer handle, right? And this handle is not like the ball peen, which is the more hatchet style handle. It is like the dead blows with the straight handle, right? But it's longer. So if you have the room, longer hammer better, right? Also the variety of the heads. You know, this is an octagonal head versus a round head versus a square head. Do I know why? I have not actually looked. I am not that much of a hammer connoisseur where I know exactly why this is an octagonal head versus the square head versus the, you know, nope. But having the different weights is nice, and the different lengths is nice. I still need to get, especially this little guy, you need a wrist strap on this thing. I'm not one to throw hammers across the room unintentionally, but I may unintentionally throw hammers across the room. The other thing I want to do is I want to use my paint marker on all of these and fill in that to be more visible. Milwaukee does put that on all of their, see, 2.5 pounds. You can also see here on this guy, it's skinnier and wider, but longer. See that? Interesting. You know? But yeah, if you guys know what the not the cross part, maybe this is the cross part of the cross peen is for, or what would you guys like? Would you guys have rather taken the engineer's hammer or engineering hammer versus the cross peen? I thought it was more beneficial to have two different head styles. You know, at some point. I'm glad that this is on here because this makes it look like that head is already damaged. That's just this fucking bullshit coating. That's where enough of that happens and I get the fucking sander out. Or if I've already got the sander out and I had to go and get that, I would just be like, hey, can I borrow that? And just... All right. And here's the big boy. Go. Cross peen, 4 pounds. Heaviest of all of them. Whew, I want to say they made the flat on that too. Here. Look at that ratio. There's way more head to the front of this versus this guy. Right? Jeez, 4 pounds is pretty darn heavy. The other one was only, what was it, 48 ounces, which is 32. Brain. Yeah, it's 3 pounds. This is a whole pound heavier. This thing ain't light. If you're swinging these all day, I would almost treat this as a mini sledge. That one is one of the ones I would say I probably wouldn't know I need it till I did. And because I came in a 2-pack, I picked it up. Oh, that thing's brutal. I did notice too they tapered down here, so you can hold it up here. You get a little bit more girth up here. So they actually tapered the handle here to be thinner. So they're actually assuming you're gonna hold it differently. Like this is bop 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 bop. You know, let's do it with the lighter one because my forearm's already burning. You know, bop, bop, bop. And then go at the end here, and it grips up much more skinnily. Like here, like that, room for your thumb. Whereas here, they definitely want to wrap your hand more like that around there. So, and there's very two distinct on a lot of Milwaukee's hammers. They purposely put in two distinct, like not these guys because the handle. Yeah, this guy does feel very handy. The 2-pound drilling, but I am, like I said, I'm already a fan of that 3-pound one. If I don't purposely know I need a ball peen or the framing hammer, I'm gonna grab the 3-pound drilling because I know if I smack it, something will happen, right? So we're adding to the, I don't want to call it a hammer collection, hammer repertoire. If you guys have ever watched Top Gear, Jeremy Clarkson there has a drawer of hammers in his toolbox. If you watch Ed Chrysler on Wheeler Dealers, he has, I think, multiple drawers of pry bars. You know, because a lot the Jeremy Clarkson thing is because he only knows how to use a hammer. That's the joke, right? But in another case, a lot of that, the other direction with Ed was there is because, like, yeah, there's actually, like, you need a different size pry bar for different size shit, right? So this guy I think might get used quite often. The longer handle with the 2.5 pounds. You know, you're not swinging as much as the original drilling 3-pound drilling hammer, but you got more leverage behind it. But yeah, I'd like to know, like, what is, I could probably Google it, but I want to know from you guys. Would you have taken I don't know if it's engineers or engineering hammer, or would you taken the cross beam to have the 2 different heads on it? Or maybe you're using this enough that you need the 2 different sides, because you're, like, wearing it out. I mean, otherwise, if you guys are like, oh, yeah, you got to get, like, these older school hammers are way better, maybe we can get deep into that woods. But so far, at least, ever since Milwaukee has redesigned their hammers, I've been happy with them. Yep, they're more expensive than, like, the store brand ones, but they seem to have, like, I want to say, like, better features, but, like, the grips, you know, like, they seem to be pulling features from higher end ones effectively, and designs and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd be interested in feedback of some of you that swing hammers every day, because I nor did I ever really do that. Like, in my work thing was just a 20-ounce S-Twing. I would have preferred a claw, like a curved claw hammer, but due to COVID, I could only get a straight. And it was the only hammer, only S-Twing hammer left in the whole friggin' store. So, yeah, I knew for what I was doing that like I showed you my 16-ounce, shorter 16-ounce Fat Max. I really like that hammer, but, like, for this type of stuff I was doing, I needed the longer one. But I didn't want, like, a lot of them are like the 24 with the crosshatched front. That was the other nice thing about that Milwaukee, that 17-ounce Milwaukee, is it has the flat, or the flush front, not the crosshatched, which a lot of framing hammers have the crosshatch, which grips the nails better, but it'll leave marks all over your wood, so you can't use it for, like, general around the house things. And I don't hammer enough to justify having multiple. I don't justify enough to have multiple hammers. What I mean that is not multiple, like, wood hammers. I bang on things all the time. Boom, boom, boom. So this guy is awesome. We did get a ladder as part of this as well. I'm not going to go, I guess I could go in the garage and show you. But it's the same one that they're showing there, probably. I don't know how tall that one is. But the 6-foot Werner ladders were on sale 50% off. I think it was like $60 for a 6-foot Werner, like the orange fiberglass 6-foot ladder. And And I wasn't even intending on buying that, but I told my mom, and she's like, well, we could use that. That way, you know, we'll put that one in the basement. And, you know, because we have like a 4-foot Costco that she really likes, but that's not really like heavy duty. And we've been doing a lot more stuff around here. But I picked up this, and maybe if this goes well, we might pick up another one, because like this should fit both the garage one and this new ladder we picked up. Like we got a platform ladder. And what this is for is basically the platform ladder already has a little bit of this, as does this. See, it's got the hole there. That's for like your drill. You know, right in there. But basically you snap this on the front of your ladder, and you got a place to put all your tools while you're up there. Super duper handy. I think it was somewhere between $10 and $20. So nothing crazy. But I saw this as I was browsing like months ago. You know. And showed her, and it was like, oh, that would be super useful to have. Yep. So probably just leave this in the garage with the platform ladder. And if it goes well, maybe pick up another one to go with the ladder, the 6-foot that we're gonna have down here. We're gonna make it way easier to get up into the ceiling. And like when we were pulling cables and stuff, that would have been so nice to have. Also, holy shit, 6-foot fiberglass, like proper Werner fiberglass ladder, weighs like nothing. Way lighter than wood. Way more stable too. A lot of our ladders are like, you use them because you have them and they still function until you use a nice one, which I started doing at previous jobs, and then you're like, oh god, yeah, no, like the reason why you feel like you're gonna fall off the ladder and you feel unstable is because, yeah, you're actually unstable and the ladder might try and kill you. Buy a good ladder, like buy a proper one, or rent it if you're not going to use it often enough and you just for one big job, rent it. But I mean, they're not that, I say it's not that much because it's like $100-something bucks, not on sale. But like, think about this is a 50% off for a 6-foot. I think that might have been an 8-foot too. That might have been a step down in quality though. Realistically, our current one's an 8-foot, and that does not make it all the way to the ceiling in the garage. I think we need a 10-foot if we were to do that, and the price jumps drastically when you go up to the 10-foot. Specifically the platform we picked up, because it makes it really easy to get to all the stuff in the garage, and it's super stable. You got a place where you can like actually like walk around on it a little bit, you know, lean on, rest your bum. But yeah, this will make it even nicer when doing projects, because you can throw, like, you know, they show you putting, I don't know that I do that necessarily, but you can throw a wrench there. There's actually some holes up here for like screwdrivers, pliers, etc. You can also put like a 2x4, I believe, fits in here. So super useful, reasonable price, I thought, for the hunk of plastic that it is. And the last thing is a trio of items that some of you will be surprised about, because I kind of poo-pooed on the Milwaukee cases. Well, Milwaukee, if you order online, will sell you just their cases. I want to say it ranges from just under $10 to 15 or something. I didn't feel like that was too bad. Now, right now, this one, I believe, you could get on sale for 20 with bits. So had I known that, I might have. But then it also comes configured like the way that they want. Now, you could buy some of these with additional rows of inserts and stuff like that. Now, I have the one that my mom got that actually I bought with the subcompact, and it was like a $30 bit set that they threw in for free, along with it being discounted. Crazy, if you ask me. So I might give her one of the Dewalt ones, because her other ones are Dewalt, and I might just move the Milwaukee bits over to the Dewalt box for her. But why did I get these? And I got one of each size. So this is a double fold over. This is a single but fold over. This is a single with clear top, so you know, thinner. And this is a double fold over. I'm hoping to put extensions in here, because they fit 6-inch extensions, and I have a lot of 6-inch bits. Okay. So this is probably gonna be 6-inch, 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 6-inch. That's why I literally don't care about the inserts. Same thing here. Or I might use this for them if I only have enough that fit in this single one. But the other big thing, and I discussed this before, and I found out that Milwaukee actually ships them this way. All right, and that is these. My multi-purpose masonry. Well, they're technically masonry bits, but I buy the upgraded multi-material ones. So I do have in the biggest size. It is only available in concrete. I mean, they have bigger ones, but the biggest size that I have, 7/16, is only available in concrete only. Otherwise, I buy them in. Wait, why is the 7/16? That's weird. I say biggest. 8/16 would be a 1/2 inch, and I have a 1/2 inch right here. So maybe I needed 7/16 for something specific, and they just do not make 7/16 in multi-material. They only make it in the concrete. Now, if you look at these very closely, these are the bigger ones, right? Now, my previous ones were all Bosch. There's some more under there. This is a normal one. That's a normal bit. And you can see a lot of these are opened, right? That's because I use them for the task, and I put them back because I didn't have a way to store them. See, this one got retaped. Use this one a whole bunch, actually. I didn't buy them this way. This is so that I can like pull the bit out, cut it off, and then you can, yep, and I can go about my business. Now, what ends up wearing down on these is the carbide is right here, right? So once that wears down far enough, you got to replace it because effectively you're not, this is what's making the hole and that's what's taking the stuff out of the hole, right? When that wears down far enough, or chips, or like it's no longer sharp, basically, right? You just got to replace the bit. And I have had to do that on some of the ones that aren't Bosch, that are brand new. They got replaced with, there's a 5/16, like that one got replaced with a Milwaukee. I had that in a Bosch. But you might be able to tell by this, like I'm like 99% sure that these are the same OEM, despite being, basically, one day I go into Home Depot and the Bosch bits that I've been buying for 5 or 10 years, right? Now I am too cheap. Like, see, this one's from 2020. Right, so this one's already 5 years old. So I just buy the size as I need them, right? Because I'm too cheap to, like, these masonry bits in a complete set in a case, if you want, like, all the sizes, are stupid expensive, okay? So I was just been cheap, and as we needed, you know, like, I needed an 1/8 inch, or I needed a 5/32 or whatever, we just got them as we needed them, right? Now, some of these are brand new because I've chewed them up and I had to replace them. Some of these I think the 1/2 inch I just bought because I replaced the 7/16 and the 3/8. You can actually see the tip different here. On a concrete, it goes here and then down and then over to like a flat, right? So it looks more like a brad point drill bit. Whereas on the multi-material, it's like a half moon or whatever, almost flat, right? So that's kind of like what the difference is there. Doesn't have the power tip. But often you have to use the carbide multi-materials for going through like real hard steel. Or especially if you're using like no, not the impact, the hammer drill setting, right? You're going to use, because it's going to actually, it's literally bashing it. It's a hammer drill setting on a drill is not the same as like a true hammer drill, because those actually go bop, 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 bop like this way. A hammer drill basically goes and rattles it, sort of. Best way to describe it. But yeah, so I go into Home Depot one day and I go to pick up another bit, and I can't, because they're all Milwaukee now. But if you look, they have the exact same white coating and everything, and actually the packaging exactly the same. Like here it's shrunk, here it wasn't, but that's, you know, in China, Fabricio and blah 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 blah. You know, it is, yeah, see, hammer mode. Yeah. Also the ones back here, like often the standard concrete bits in the past, at least with the Bosch, didn't have the hex, so you couldn't use them in an impact, right? So it was impacts and hammer drills. That'll say that on here too, someplace. Yeah, impact and a hammer drill down there. A lot of the non-multi-material just come like this, and you couldn't put it in the impact. And for the longest time, I didn't have a hammer drill, so I was effectively using my impact as a hammer drill. Now, why does it matter with these? Well, it matters because this right here, this case, is what these come in if you buy the complete set from Milwaukee. I effectively have nearly a complete set right here. So I spent $10 to get, and I think this is the one that I'm going to need, because this only holds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, maybe, but I have a feeling that this guy is wide enough. It's got some thick hips, right? That I might not be able to put it all the way over, right? So I might have to use up some more spots on the thicker guys, right? But yeah, this is actually why I bought these, is because this guy I want to use for my hammer drill bits to finally have a freaking case for them, because I'm not going to go out and buy a set of hammer bits because I bought them all individually as they were needed. I think the 1/2 inch was the only one I added on there, like, because I had all the rest already. And like I said, I believe I needed this size originally for a specific item, and that guy I blew through doing the mailbox. And you're like, how the fuck did you blow through a multi-material bit doing a mailbox? Well, I think I have at least some videos commenting on that, but it was rotting out. We had to add more wood, and then in order to put bolts through, not screws in, because the screws attach to the wood, you want to use bolts because that squishes the wood together, right? I had to drill through the wood, right? Well, there were already some screws and nails and that sort of stuff in there, so I blasted through it with one of these bad boys. By the end of rebuilding that entire mailbox, though, as I was saying, you see how this carbide hangs over, this carbide tip on here, right? It was flush, and the front of it was chipped to hell. So, thus time to replace it. And if we used it, like basically how a lot of my tools work is if you use it enough to wear it out, you need another one, right? Because you're going to use it again. And you can see by all of these, like I said, this guy gets a lot of use. 5/30 seconds. I have no idea what I was using 5/30 seconds for. But I mean, it is dirty down to, I was going pretty deep with that dang thing too. So that's another thing with these are longer than your standard drill bit. Quite a bit. So, but if we put them in here, they fit in that 6-inch length, right? So I couldn't put these in one of my DeWalt containers because they're shorter. They fit two, what are those? 2.5 inch? 2 inch? These guys. 2.5, I think. So they're only like 5 inches. Let me measure this. Oh. 2.5. So the DeWalt cases fit effectively 2.5 inches like this, which is not enough. Oh, I thought this guy fell out for a second. Not enough if we take this. We take that. See? Quite a bit not enough. And I mean, there might be like enough to get a fingy in between, but still very much not enough. So then when I saw these, when that free kit came with my subcompacts that I gave the kit to my mom, I noticed it was longer. I'm like, oh, that might fit the concrete drill bits, right? The hammer drill bits, the multi-material, these guys, right? And then I looked at how Milwaukee was selling them when you bought a whole kit, and they actually sold them in one of these, because they call these mini Packouts, Packout modular storage system. These somehow fit into the Packout containers. I don't get that. I think I did take a picture in person when I was there, where it actually demonstrated how these fit. They fit open too. So if you open your Packout, put this in, it'll like, you can store open as well. Now this guy, I would like to see if I can move what direction these are, because I would like these going this way, and the one that flips opposite of this. So that would be this guy going this way. So I'm guessing it'd be like these this way, the top going the opposite way, because the heads are going to be thick. I don't have any extensions over here right now, I don't think. I do. Hold on. That's not what I would put in there. Here you go. It's like this. See, this is thick. So I would want, like here, I want the thick part up here, and then I'd want the thick part down there. So I don't know if I can do that. If I can, I will. Or I might have to go this way and then that way. It just depends. But this is effectively these guys, like these 6-inch extensions and smaller. Like this is a 3-inch, right? Not these DeWalt ones. I'll put the Milwaukee ones here. The DeWalt ones have been downgraded because I push back to eject. They should pull forward, and they're plastic, and these are not impact rated. They were the best until Milwaukee's came out. So they're over here because they're plenty for PC stuff if you need an extension for a weird bit or whatever. They're plenty fine. If you have those, hey, I'm just going to tell you the Milwaukee ones are better now. But that's what I want to put in here. Boom, 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 boom. As I have like 6-inch Phillips 2s as well. There's one right over here. I want a case to put all these long boys, and I have a lot of them that I use all the time. I want to put them all in a guy, in a thing, right? Similar thing here. This guy I just picked up, like, to be truthful, I almost see no use for. Yeah, you can see the bits in the front. Please tell me, guys. Like, and you're like, oh, didn't you just say with the Packout getting a clear one? Yes, but you're literally storing half the bits as this, right? In my opinion, this doesn't make nearly as much sense, but I did pick it up just to see, like, if it's half as thick, maybe it fits in the thinner Packout cases. This is just to try it out. Now I make one that's even half this. It's a little square. That I really don't get, because I think only 2 rows of the short guys, like 2 of these guys, like it's not even that tall. So it's like 2 really close together. Like you only fit in the insert bits in there. And 2 rows is only 10 bits. Like I would rather have like a thing top down. You know, think like this, but in one of those Packouts, right? That would fit way more of these little insert bits. So hopefully, you guys, it's a pretty decent haul. That Packout didn't come, and I might make an update once I have room in the garage for an update on the Packouts themselves. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the little breakdown of what I got, why I got it. These, if you want these Milwaukee cases, you have to buy them through Home Depot's website. It actually says case only, and it's online only. There was a deal during Black Friday where if you bought 2 or more items, and every item that you bought, that's part of the reason why I got this as well, is effectively by buying this, I got into a discount that have basically discounted me this. I have a feeling that not a lot of people know that you can pick these up, and even if you're not using Milwaukee bits, and I prefer the Dewalt cases, but I just told you that for the longer stuff, right, literally doesn't fit in the Dewalt cases. So I'm quite happy that I can get a case that a lot of those will fit in, because right now, like a lot of my 6-inch stuff is just laying in my drawer, in my toolbox, which or it's like that, which is fine-ish, right? Depending on what it is, or it's just stuck on a magnet strip, like this guy, right? Which can be fine, right? Can be fine, but also not as useful as you've seen some of my other bit cases before, where I have all my 1-inch bits in one case. I have all of my 2.5-inch bits or 2.25-inch bits, or whatever, I think 2.5, in one case, with the short extensions, you know, like the 3-inch or less extensions in one case. Now I want to put as many of the 6-inch and less bits and extensions in one case, and then I'll finally have. Now I don't have to like, oh, which one of these is it, and grab one in its little like sleeve thing. I can just grab this case that has all of my masonry / concrete / carbide impact hammer drill bits in it. And that's actually how Milwaukee ships it. As you can see, they're mostly Milwaukee bits now. I would gladly keep buying the Bosch ones. We used to buy Bosch jigsaw blades, right? Except you can't now, because this is what I was telling you about Milwaukee, is if they can get in this case, I am almost guaranteeing that the manufacturer that manufactured that, right, manufactured that. And if you look at how the base is on these as well, like it is the same. You can even see the line. Like it's literally just a branding thing at this point, right? But that's what Milwaukee wants to do. Which is fine. Like we used to use Bosch jigsaw blades because that's what they had there for a variety pack at Home Depot. As in, what I like to do starting out, you might have seen it with my multi-material oscillating cutters, is I buy a multi-pack that has a bunch, like one of each kind, right? And then you want to be able to go back and buy, like, okay, we like those, I want a 5-pack of that kind, right? And that's kind of how Bosch had it set up for the jigsaw blades as well. I think now we're buying Diablo jigsaw blades as well, which is fine. We've been actually quite good with the Diablo. Like, the only thing so far has been the sandpaper, like I said. Yeah. And the downside of the Diablo versus like where this like specialty woodworking place that I found to buy the 3M from is that you have to buy like the thick ass 50, 100, like a crap ton of that sandpaper. And if you're only doing one project, we've been over that with the True Cable networking stuff, where like sometimes I need 5. I need 5 pieces of sandpaper, and that woodworking place will sell you 5 or 10-pack or something, and then be done. You know, because they probably bought the 1,000-pack and broke it down for you. But yeah, this guy's gonna get put away, and if you guys have a Harbor Freight nearby, the new colors of the toolboxes are out. We got the gray, slate gray, You got the green, it really pops, and you get the purple. So Squeers isn't gonna see this video in time, but he mentioned, he's like, but what if, because I was gonna be like, hey, I need you to come in case I can only buy one per person. He's like, what if I want a purple mini toolbox? And I'm like, then we'll buy a purple mini toolbox. I bought him. There's one in my car waiting for him. That green pops, P-O-P-S, and you're like, wait, aren't there three? Yeah, the red one's upstairs because the red one was the first one, and got it to match my Craftsman. I've already been using it years ago, right? Or years ago, like a year plus or so ago. So yeah, check those out, and hopefully you'll see in a future video. Questions, comments on any of these tools, throw it down below. If you chose a different thing, tell me why. You know, if you're the dude that uses that cross peen hammer every day, yeah, let us know down below. I appreciate it as always. You know, I'm got a lot of tools, and often like, oh, somebody like, oh, you don't use them because they're super clean. No, a lot of this stuff is to do like a thing with them, and realistically, that task is only easily achievable with that tool. So you basically buy it for a project, maybe a potential future project, and then you end up using it much more later down on the line for things you didn't even plan for, right? Or like we were doing, like I said, the moldings around the house with the oscillating tool. Oh my God, if you're choosing to do that yourself, I think that thing was like $100, and that's like the basic one. Spend the money. Your life becomes a billion times easier if you're doing any sort of flooring and molding and that sort of stuff. And also, what I tend to do as well is I clean up all my stuff. I will use it. I will get it oily, dirty, but then before it goes back in the toolbox, and this is something that if you guys watch Coon Truckin', that he goes over, he's like, I would rather have somebody not put it away than put it away dirty. And it seriously does make, now if you have shit tools, those I still clean those up, but those you might care less about, you know, like these $1, $2, now $3 tool shop flush cutters from Menards. You know, they got shit all over them. They're near worthless though, right? So those I might not care about. But if you've got your nice tool, treat it well, and it's going to last you a long time. And then more than likely, if it's got a good warranty, they'll just replace it, or you'll go and buy it again, or by that point in time, you'll know what you don't like about it, and maybe it'll already have passed along to a different owner, and you would have bought something that you preferred already. So, but at least, hey, then it's in good condition for the next guy. So, hopefully we'll see in future videos. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future, and I'll see if I can make it for you. Peace.